Okay, welcome everyone as we begin another wonderful week here, still broadcasting from our flagship station here in Fairways Lakewood at the Avoda Zara Daf, and we are holding already on Daf Samach. Wow, it's really, we're really coming down the home stretch of this Masechta. And the Gemara tells us we are holding by Hahi Chavita, three lines from the bottom of Nun Testament Beis, as we are sponsored by Baruch Ian, Lili Nishmas, Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba, Esther Bas Yana, Lili Nishmas, Avram Ben Shmuel HaKain, El Rufu Shalema Feliba Basanya. We are sponsored by Sholem Fogel, Lili Nishmas Yaakov Zev Ben Yehuda Aryeh, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef Ben Siyam Ben Yaakov Zev, and for a great shidduch for Chaya Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel. We're sponsored for the spiritual, emotional, and physical protection for Yeshua Menachem Mendel Ben Bela Shendel Rivka. We're sponsored for the Refuah Shalem of Taiba Reiza Bas Hinda, and for great Sivugim for Abi Spry's daughter and grandchildren. We're sponsored by Eddie Chazan for the safety of Klal Yisrael, the safety of our troops and their nitzachon, and by Menachem Umansky, that all those that are looking for a zivik should find their shidduch quickly and easily. So, Hayi Chavita de Chamra, and Marshall is back in his house, back home. Man's home is his castle. And Hahi Chavita de Chamra, so Marshall has a barrel of wine. The ishtakel lebarza, that the spigot fell out. When the spigot fell out, the wine starts to escape. Also, Oivei Koichavim, so a guy came, Idrei, he jumped, Anich Yodei Ilvei, he put his hand there by the spigot to plug it up. So Amar Rav Papa now says a very big chiddush. Rav Papa says that studin are not a chibur, that laterally to the side is not attached. So therefore, only kol de lahade barza chamra aser, only the wine that is by the actual spigot, that wine is going to be aser, and it's aser to drink it. It's not aser to ba'ana, because you cannot agitate, you cannot be manaseh in such a small area. V'idach shari, but the rest of the wine in the cask, Marshall catches a break. The ikadamre, others say a bigger chumrah. Others say that the wine that's above the level of the spigot, that wine is aser. The wine below the level of the spigot is mutter. The ikadamre, Amra Papa ad habarza, until the spigot. In other words, let's say the spigot goes up 3/4 of the height of the barrel. The last quarter of the wine of the barrel that's above the spigot is aser. The idach shari, the rest of the wine below is permitted. Amar Rav Yemar, this opinion that which is attached laterally to the side is not forbidden is not universal. Actually, it's not even a halacha. It's a shitas yachid. Kitanoi, it's a machlokes tanoi. Chovyas shenakva, a barrel that was perforated. Bein mipia, whether on top, bein mishuleho, whether on the bottom, or bein mitzideh, or on the side. V'noga by tful yom, and it's touched by a tful yom. This is a barrel of wine that's truma, because only truma is going to be susceptible to a tful yom. A tfil yom is a sheni. Only truma could become a shlishi. It can't be a barrel of chulin. So chavia shenikva, it's perforated, bein mepia, whether on the top, bein mishuleh, on the bottom, or mitzideha, on the side, tahira. Excuse me, mepia tmei is tamei. Rabbi Yehuda says mepia mishuleh, from the top. So it's touching it from the top, or from the bottom, tmeya. It's tamei. Mitzideha, but touching it from the side. So Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion that laterally it's not considered a connection. Tahira. Tahira mikana mikana. It's tar both on the top and on the bottom. It's only the wine in the spigot that becomes tamei. Actually, it becomes pasul, because the Tfil Yom touches it, but Tfil Yom is sheni, so it's a shlishi and it's pasul. Amra Papa, Oiveit Koichavim Adona. I'm sitting here talking while everybody's waiting. Oiveit Koichavim Adona. Let's say a guy is holding the barrel and he's pouring, and Yisrael Akuba, and Marshall is holding the jug stationary. Chamra Aser. The wine that the guy is pouring out from the barrel is Aser. Why? Because it's koyach of the guy. And koyach of the guy, we said, is asr. My time, it comes from the koyach of the guy, and we said that the koyach of the guy is asr because of leik amrun l'nazira. Yisrael adana, but if Marshall is pouring from the barrel, and the guy is just holding stationary the jug, chamer shari. However, if Marshall you already had 6 cups of bourbon, and when he's pouring, he's not steady, so the guy has to move around the jug in order to catch it. The mitzvah sedudi, if he's moving it around, then it's awesome. Then it's going to be forbidden. Amra Papa, Hai Ovid Kechavim, next case over here. Now, they used to have leather skins of wine. Flagons, they were called. So, Amra Papa, Hai Ovid Kechavim, the Dori Zika, he's holding a flagon of wine of a Yid, and it's tied shut. The Ka'azil Yisrael Achure, and the Yid is watching from behind to make sure that he doesn't stick his hand in. So Malya Shari, if it's full, so he can't shake it around, it's permitted. Why? Dolay Mekarkesh, he can't shake the wine. Chaseira Aser. But if it's partially full, it's prohibited, because Dilma Mekarke, she could shake it for a libation when he walks. Kuba, if the guy is carrying an open container of wine, an open jug, an open bottle, Malya Aser. If it's full, it's Aser, because it's very easy for the guy to touch it. Dilma Naga. And if he touches it, it'll become Aser. He can't be Meshashach because the Yid is there, but it's very easy for him to touch the wine because it's full, so it becomes Aser to drink it. Chaseira Shari, but if it's not full to the top, and the Yid is watching him, that he shouldn't agitate it or move it around, Doloinaga, and therefore it's permitted even to drink it. Rav Ashi says Zika, the leather skin, bein malya, bein chaseira shari. Whether it's full, whether it's not full, it's permitted. And remember, we're talking about where it's closed, so you can't touch it. And the fact that we said that if it's not full, he could agitate it, it's still permitted, my timer, because ein derech nisa pekach. That's not the way to do a libation, and therefore it can't be used for a libation, and therefore it would be permitted. Now, slow arrivals tonight. Wow. I guess we're heading in. This is a real vacation Sunday, maybe. Now, by the way, this picture in the art scroll, I believe this picture was drawn by my brother Yitzchak. Now remember, this picture was his drawing. Not a bad drawing. He really is not an artist. But it's a nice 3D picture.
Did he sign it, Rabbi?
No, not that. It's not that good. But anyway, yeah. But listen, he had his schus.
Probably use cat on it.
Listen, he had his schus that it's seen by so many people. So anyway, Matzra Zaira, a wine press that has a beam. Rapapa Shari, Rapapa permits the wine that's in it. Rav Ashi v. same Rav Shimi bar Ashi aser. Rav Ashi and others say Rav Shimi bar Ashi asks it. Now, Bikaychai, if the guy presses down the grapes, which flows already, and since it flows freely, it's already has a din of wine. So bikaychai, if he presses down the beam, kuli amalei pligid aser. Everybody agrees that it's going to be aser because the kayach of a guy.
Even though he's in the upper press,
Even though it's in the upper press, but because Rav Huna said that once it flows freely, it has a din of wine.
That's his din.
Right. So, Kuli Amalei Pligid Aser, everybody agrees that it's Aser. When we say Aser over here, it's Aser to drink because it's the strength of the guy. The question is, Ki Pligi B'Kayach Kaychay, where, as you see in the picture, there's a screw. If the guy turns the screw, which then pushes down the beam, so that becomes koyach koychay, the strength of his strength. The question is the strength of a guy enough to make it aser? So, keep ligi b'koyach koychay. The argument is if the koyach koychay, ikinamrei, b'koyach koychay kuli amalei pligi d'shari. Koyach koychay, where it's the strength of its strength, so it's really indirect. Everybody agrees that it's permitted. Ki pligi b'koychay. There they argue with its direct strength. And you'll say, what do you mean? Throughout the whole parak over here, we're learning that the koyach of a guy is aser. Well, here, like Berish pointed out, the grapes are only on the top, and they're first being crushed, and then they have to flow. And since by the time they're flowing, his koyach had ended, therefore maybe it's permitted. That would be the opinion of the one that says it's permitted. However, we have a Maiserav, an actual case, have a Uvda b'koyach koychay. There was an actual case where it was just koyach koychay. The guy turned the screw, which lowered the beam, which pressed onto the other beams, which pressed onto the grapes. V'asa Rav Yaakov Minar P'goid, and Rav Yaakov Minar P'goid said it's still forbidden. It's still forbidden to drink it. Now, I think already time to welcome in so many nice people here. Saba and Yitzi Fuchs and Yaakov Warman and Irving Fishbaum, and Baruch Ian and Rabbi Kranz and Avigdor, Marshall Castle, Shalom Fogel, Yisrael Fisher, Dr. Guy, Eddie Chazan, Barry Cement, Shelley Zeitlin, Michal, Mel Zachter, Rebellia Yaffe, Stephen Holtzman, Menachem Umansky, Nachman Chapler, Abe Arbach, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, David Elfgott. Here in Shul we have Berish Gesseman, Gedalia Engel, we have Ruvain Michal Avram, Chavin, and Ruvain Shannet.
Rabbi Weiss, I came in late, but can we learn a first Shlema for Nos Feitel Ben Yehudis?
We'll learn for Nosan Feitel Ben Yehudis. You should have a refuah shalema b'seich she'echer Yisrael. Now, and try not to come in late. Ha'u chavita, there was a barrel, the ifka ala arka, that it split along its length. So as it split along its length, it began to widen out, and the wine began to escape. A guy came and hugged it so that the wine shouldn't escape. Idrei ha'u oived kechavim, a swift-thinking guy jumped and chapka and embraced it, and therefore the wine could not escape. So Shai Rafra Bar Papa permitted v'item Rav Huna B'Rav Yeshua permitted lezavune la'ivdei kechavim. He touched it with his kayak, and therefore it's also to drink it, but you're allowed to have anah, you're allowed to sell it to idolaters. But the hani mili depaka la'orka, that's where it splits along the length. So the wine was escaping, so by holding it, embracing it, he's pushing the wine back in. Avalapusya, but if it is split along its width, so there, by holding it, he's just causing that it should stay in place. Afilu b'shtiya shari, it's permitted even to drink it. My timer, my silavena carbon. He just acted like a brick. He just acted like a weight that's placed on it to hold it from not going anywhere. But he didn't actually cause the wine to go back in, and therefore it's permitted even to drink it. There was a guy that was found to be standing near Marshall's wine press. So there was some residual wine in the press. And we're afraid that the guy touched it, and he makes it forbidden. Now the question is, does the wine that the guy touches come in contact with the blia, with the absorption in the wine press? See, if you're only worried about the residual in the wine press, so then all Marshall would have to do is rinse it out. If you're worried that it connects with the absorption inside the press, then you would have to scour it, which we'll see is a process which I'll explain to you in a minute. So the Gemara therefore says it depends. Amar Rav Ashi, I k'toifeach latfiach. If there's enough moisture in the wine press that is enough to that when you touch it, you could moisten something else. That's the meaning of toifeach almanasla tfiach. It's enough moisture that if something touches it, it will in turn be able to moisten something else. Then that means that it connects even with the absorption in the press. So then, boy adacha, first you have to rinse out the press, or boy niguv, and you have to use the process of scouring. The process of scouring is you have to put on it hot ashes, rinse it with cold, put on it hot ashes a second time, and rinse it again. But if it's not so moist, then all you have to do is rinse it out. Then ba'adacha ba'al masagila, then it's enough to rinse it out. Now, I just want to remind you, Rabbi Isaac, that after this shir, we will have a chok. So stay tuned for that. Some gesund. Now, if a guy is found standing next to Marshall's vat, now normally a guy will be afraid to touch it. He'll be afraid to get into trouble. If Marshall owes the guy money, and we'll see in the Gemara further that the guy has a lien on that wine, so then the guy is not scared to touch it. So then, it's asr. Ein lo milva alav. But if he doesn't have a claim and a lien on the wine, then mutter, because we say that the guy is afraid to touch it. What happens in cases where the guy touched it, but we know that he didn't have a mind to be menasach? So nafal a bar, if he fell into a bar, va'ala, and the Gemara will say that this is talking about where the guy fell into the vat and died, when his body floated up. Because if he fell into the vat and he escaped alive, he would definitely be menasach out of a hakar satoiv to his deity. But here he fell in and he died. So he definitely didn't have a mind to be menasach. Or medodai bekana, or he stuck his hand in to, in this case, he measured the level of the wine with a reed. So that's why he stuck his hand in. Or hit his atzira bekana, or he flicked out a hornet with a reed. He was tapping down the foam in the cask. In all these cases, it was an incident. And they said that even though he didn't have a mind to do nisach, it's still usher to drink it, but you could sell it to a guy. But Reb Shimon Matir, Reb Shimon says it's totally permitted. In such a case, it's totally permitted. The reason why you're not allowed to have wine where there's no concern of nesach is only because of a worry about assimilation. But that's only where it's the guy's wine, not where it's the yid's wine that the guy touched without having a mind to be menasach. Not to less a chavius, if he took a barrel, uzraka b'hakamosay lebar, and he threw it in anger into a vat of wine, zaya maisa, this was a incident, v'chshiroi, and they permitted it even to drink. We'll talk about this, why this is, shortly in the Gemara. Not today, tomorrow. Now, remember we said that if Marshall owes the guy money, then if the guy was found next to Marshall's barrel, the wine is forbidden. But the Gemara now restricts this only if the guy had a lien on the wine. That's only if he had a lien on the wine. The Mishnah is also implicit to this fact. If a yid was preparing the wine of a guy, Batara, and the Yid was going to sell it, and then when he brings in money, he's planning to pay the guy for his grapes. In the meantime, he keeps the pressed grapes in the property of the guy. And the guy writes to him, I already accepted from you money. Now, he didn't accept from him money yet, because the Yid is only paying him when he sells the wine. But he writes that to him so that the Yid could come and take the wine without asking for permission. So in this case, mutter, because the guy doesn't have any claim on the wine. But if the Yid wants to take it out from his property, the guy won't let him until the Yid pays for the raw materials. So then he has a lien on the materials. This was an incident in Beishan v'asu. Time a day manicha, but it's only where he doesn't allow him. Manicha, if he allows him to take it out, so he doesn't have a lien on the wine, shari, it's permitted. Shmamina milval oisi yayim ba'in, and he has to have a lien on the wine itself. Shmamina. Now, as we learned, nafal bar va'alai told you, amra papa le'shanwa l'sha'ala mace. That's only if he fell into the bar and he came up dead. Aval ola chai asr. But if he came up alive, the wine is asr because he certainly, out of gratitude to being saved, he would be menasach to his God. My timer, amra papa dedami alei kiyam edam. It's like a holiday that he was saved, and he definitely would be menasach with the wine. Medadai bekana, or if he measured it with a reed, or he flicked out a hornet, kalayla yamaisa, va'amru yamacher, and the Tanakama says it's asa b'shtia, but it's permitted to bana. You could sell it to a guy. Reb Shimon matter. Amar Avoda Barava yanuchalay Reb Shimon brachas al roishay. May blessing fall on Reb Shimon's head. Kishu matter, in the case where he's matter afilu b'shtia. It's not only permitted to sell it, but it's permitted even to drink it. Or kishu aisa, but when it is concerned about nisach, about a libation, aisa afilu b'ana. And the halacha is like Reb Shimon, the Gemara now says, although the Gemara will say not. Amar Rav Chibra, Rav Abba bar Nachmani, Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Rav, Imir Lo, Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Ziri, halacha Reb Shimon, the law follows Reb Shimon. Ikid Amri, Amar Rav Chisda, Amar Li Abba bar Chanan, Hachi Amar Ziri, the halacha Reb Shimon, that it's permitted even to drink it, but the bottom line is, Vein halacha Reb Shimon, even though he flicked out the hornet and he didn't have a mind to be menasach, it's still forbidden to drink it. The idea being that it's forbidden to drink it because even if there's not a concern of nesech, of libation, there's still a concern that we shouldn't become too familiar with the guy, and it's an anti-assimilation move, just like it is with the pass of a akam, that we shouldn't come to marry their daughters. Okay, Rabbi said we're going to stop over here for now, and we're going to move right away on to, we did the Mishnah Yaimis, we're going to move on to a chok. And we're going to ask you for the green screen. Of course, if somebody wants to sponsor this week's Shir on Re'eh, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful evening.